In this episode, we are going to learn about caching resources. To cover resource caching, we are going to work with HTTP cache. So first question is, why should we need cache, right? We want to use cache in our application because it can significantly improve performance by reducing the number of send requests to the API. Okay, so if we want to cache something, we need a cache store, right? So how can we store the cache? Well, we can use database caching, right? We can store in the database, we can store in the browser or in the client side, right? Also, we can use server-side caching mechanism. In this example, we are going to use response caching middleware, which is provided by the ASP NET Core. Okay, for that we need to add an extension which is in the program.cs file. Let's add services dot add response caching. Okay, then secondly, I want to use app dot use response caching. Okay, now let's go to the controller. I'm going to use product controller version 2. Let's take this off the breakpoints. So what I can do, I can use response cache attribute here, and then I can provide duration, the caching duration. Let's say this is gonna be 10 seconds, right? So it can be like 60 second, 120 second or whatever, but for my testing I'm gonna use 10 seconds. Okay, if we simply use this one, then let's run the application. Okay, so this is our get all products. Hit send. If you see, we have a new header here which is cache control, and it is public and max age equal 10 seconds. Okay, let's put a breakpoint here. Send, it went to the server, right? And we got the 10 second. If I click send again, it is going back to the server again, right? So that means that caching doesn't work. Okay, so we need to fix something. Let's check the header of the request, and it has 7 hidden property here. Okay, let's click on that, and if you see, it says cache control no cache. That means Postman is not caching anything, right? It is sending cache control equal no cache to the API. Then API returns that without cache. Because of this, it doesn't store the response in the cache, right? Because we are saying no cache. That's why server doesn't store in the cache. So how can we fix it? We have to remove this. So to remove that, we can go to the setting and then send no cache header, turn it off. Okay, now that is gone, right? Now let's send again. Okay, our application is not running. Let's run that. Send the request. Okay, first time we got the response, max is 10 seconds. Send again. If you see, it doesn't go to the server, right? I mean to say, it doesn't go to our API. Yeah, so 10 seconds was over, that's why it went to the API again. Let's return it here. So now it is max is 10. If I send now, if you see another property is here, age, it says 5 seconds already. Again 10 seconds over. Okay, send 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, right? 7, 9, 10. I mean 10 seconds plus, right? That's why it went to the API again. So that means in this duration, if we need to call the same API again, right, it will not call the API. Instead, it will get the response from the cache. In your case, you can increase this max age duration. It can be 1 minute, 2 minutes, right? It depends on the application. Now let's go back to our API. We have here another method. We can also use response cache duration for maybe 15 seconds, right? Or maybe 60 seconds. Okay, let's add that response cache. If you see, there is a property called cache profile name, right? We can use cache profile name there. So to create that cache profile, we can go to the program.cs file. Okay, then we can modify the add controller. What we can do, we can set configuration here that config dot respect browser accept header equal true, config dot return http not acceptable true. The main property we are going to use is config dot cache profile, right? So here we can add that profile. So in the profile, we can use key, maybe let's say 10 seconds duration. I'm just giving it a name. You can give it what makes sense to you. And then new cache profile, and here we can provide duration, which is 10 seconds, right? Similarly, you can add more profiles. This is for 15 seconds, right? Okay, so the benefit of creating profile here is that we do not need to hard code the value here, right? Instead, we can say cache profile name is, that is for 10 seconds, right? So this is the cache profile for 10 seconds, and cache profile for this one is 15 seconds, right? So we can reuse the cache profile name in throughout your application, right? You might have so many controller, right? You can reuse that profile in other places as well. Okay, now we have two profile. Now let's run. If we hit send here, this is for the get all products 10 seconds, right? If you say max is 10 seconds, get product by ID 15 seconds, right? It is for 15 seconds because I do not have a breakpoint here. Let's put a breakpoint. Okay, send 12 seconds. Okay, 15 seconds over. Now come back again, max is 15 seconds. Okay, so now we can use multiple profiles, right? We can create multiple profiles and we can use them in our method. We can also use the response cache in the controller level over here, right? So let's say we are saying this is 10-second duration, right? And so that we do not need to use this response cache here anymore. Also now we have a problem here. This is for 15 seconds, right? So if you use that 15 seconds in the method level, then that will override the profile of the controller level. So we can keep it here. Let's give it a try. This is for get all. Let's take this off. We don't wanna. We know that is working. Okay, 10 second, and this is for 15 second, right? Although I did not assign that property for that get all products, right? Because by default it will consider the response cache name from the controller level. But for this one, this cache profile override the global cache profile name. Now if you have so many profiles, right, in your program.cs, also you want to maintain this configuration in the app setting, right? Then we can also use the app setting. So what we can do, we can give it a name. That's a cache profiles. Okay, and in the cache profiles we can create those cache profiles. First of all, let's create this one, right? And one more for okay, for this one. So what we need the value of duration. So the duration is gonna be 10 and duration of this is gonna be 15. Okay, so what we can do now, we need to read that config setting, right? So for that, let's comment it out. Cache profiles from builder configuration, right? Dot get section, right? The get section, we have to provide the section name, which is cache profiles. So cache profiles dot get children, right? Okay, and then we can use for each loop var profile in cache profiles, and we can say config dot cache profiles dot add. First of all, we can use profile dot key, right, which is the name of the profile. Then we have to provide the profile dot get, right, cache profile. Okay, so it will get the cache profile, and that is gonna be the value for that, right? Let's give it a try. "15 seconds, 10 seconds," right? And also working the edge. Perfect. Okay, and one more thing, this caching is by default storing in the server side, but we can also store the cache in the client side. Okay, so let's enable this one. We can see there's a location property, right? Location is gonna be either client, right, or any. If we set the any, it will set in the server side. It can set, actually it will be set in the both sides, the server or client, right? So by default it is setting the cache in the server side or proxy side. So if we want to set in the client side, then we have to provide that location, right? So what we can do, we can change the setting here, give the property name here, and that is gonna be client, right? Let's say this is for client and other one is for, or this is for client and other one is for any, right? Any is the, if you click on that, it is any. Any means it will store client and server both. So we can, yeah. So what we can do, so since we are going to test in the client side, we can increase this time. Okay, let's keep it there. Okay, let's test the API. Oops, what was the issue? There's a problem. What is that? It is saying an item with the same key has all. Okay, the problem is here because the same key is already here, right? Similar. So let's run that again. Also set the breakpoint. So get all, right? Come back here, send again, right? So that is working, and that was for the default one, 10 seconds, and we did set the 10 seconds for any which is server and client. So that is fine, right? Now let's test the other one. So this is for 15 seconds. Okay, 15 seconds, send again. Well, it is going back again, send again, going back again. So there is a problem, right? We cannot test this API in the Postman, but if you integrate this API in your application, you should be fine. But whenever you use client side caching, make sure you know that well, otherwise it's gonna be dangerous. I do not recommend anyone to use client side caching unless they know what are they doing. Okay, so that's all I have in this episode. I hope you enjoyed this. In the next episode, I'm gonna configure Swagger UI. So Swagger UI, you can also test your APIs. Also you can see your API descriptions, right? That is really a handy tool. Guys, please like and share the videos. Also, please let me know how you are feeling about these videos, and also give me some feedback, anything, right? So I can adjust those in the next episodes. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.